Welcome, eventually. I apologise for the 2-minute delay in starting this. Welcome to JustANatter number 3. Really kind of a bit of a random number to be doing a broadcast about. Not even doing a broadcast about it, I don't know why I said that. Welcome to live. If you are watching this and you are almost moist with excitement, as I would expect you to be, then you can watch on the YouTube page, and you can also comment on there, which the comment thing is around somewhere. It's on one of the sides, and you can place your comment in there and I will get it through to me here, and obviously you can join in with the whole of the debates and everything then. There's loads of topics to be going through tonight because for some reason it seems to be a week of just not near enough non-stop news, but there has been quite a bit of news that's been happening this week. I don't even know where to begin with it, really. So yeah, sorry, I'm just checking out the volume on everything, just making sure, because I did a live broadcast. When did I do the live broadcast? 2 nights ago, I think. Sunday night, I think. I don't know. But I did it because there was a thing going on with the gay community, and that is going to be the first thing that I talk about because there's kind of updates about that sort of thing. So I did the live broadcast. It's available on this YouTube channel if you are watching this on YouTube. Go and have a look at the video. It's I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's something like Firefox versus the gay community or something like that. And I posted a comment on a website and then just kind of got loads of replies and thought, you know what, sorry, I'm going to do a video about this. So I came on here, I did a live broadcast about it, and it was fabulous. The kind of update on that, if you were lucky enough to catch the live broadcast when I was doing it, or if you've watched the video since, because I kept my eye on the viewing figures for it, it's kind of gone up to 87 or 88 views, I think it's got at the moment, so it's quite a lot for a video on one of my channels. But anyway, so you might well have seen the video, but some of the things that I said in the video, I'm so glad to find out that I am not the only one who thinks it. Now, probably some people are going to judge me about what I'm about to do next, but yes, I'm about to read someone who is, as far as I can gather, opposed to same-sex marriage, and he's also seems to be a little bit of a supporter of the Republicans in America, which obviously up to now, well, kind of even still including now, have been kind of really against same-sex marriage and basically just doing all that they can to try and stop same-sex marriage dead in its tracks. If you didn't know what the news was the other day, then basically the news was saying that a fella who had been promoted to being CEO of, or the manager of Firefox, had in his past donated $1,000, which works out to about £600, to like Christian kind of causes in California, who fought against same-sex marriage. If I remember rightly, that would be for Prop 8. I think. I don't know. They worded that so hard. I still get confused about it to this day. It was really confusing. But anyway, like I said, so if you want to comment, do it on the YouTube page, and the comment will come through to me eventually. It might take about 10 years. I might be off and dead, but I will do my best to get it on. So this thing comes from a man called Dennis, and I presume you pronounce his surname Praga. I have no idea how you pronounce his name. But basically, he took to his Facebook page. He is quite well known in America. He has, from what I gather, like a radio show or something like that. And he writes, "In 31 years of broadcasting and 40 years of writing, I've never advocated a boycott of a product. Quite the opposite, in fact. During the 2012 presidential campaign, when the left attempted to destroy Chick-fil-A for its owners' views on same-sex marriage," which wasn't true, "I suggested on my radio show that the Republican candidate Mitt Romney stand in front of a Chick-fil-A restaurant while enjoying some Ben & Jerry's ice cream. In that way, I argued, he could show one of the greatest moral differences between right and the left. The right and the left, should I say. Though Ben and Jerry's are lefties, we conservatives do not believe that company owners' views should matter to consumers. We believe that products should speak for themselves. If the ice cream is good, despite whatever repugnance we might feel regarding the views of the makers of the ice cream, we would still purchase it. The left does not see things that way. The left is out to crush the individuals and companies with whom it differs. This is especially today on the issue of same-sex marriage. This is where we kind of get to it now. Perhaps the most dramatic example of this took place last week. The governing board of the widely used browser Firefox forced the company's CEO, Brendan, I don't know his surname, to resign. The Firefox board had learned that in 2008, had donated $1,000 to the Proposition 8 campaign in California. Proposition 8 amended the California Constitution to define marriage as the union between one man and one woman. In classic communist fashion, gay rights organizations demanded that publicly recant, and when did not, gay rights and other leftist organizations called for a boycott of Firefox. Firefox immediately forced out. I really can't pronounce his name. It's E-I-C-H. How the hell do you say that? Anyway, all these years, the left, after coining the term McCarthyism, don't know why, in order to disparage the right, has fooled most people into believing that it is the right that suppresses liberty. The truth, of course, has been the opposite. Worldwide, with the exception of Nazi Germany, which was a unique race-based big fancy word. Total lethargism. I can just about see it. I've got moisturiser in my eyes, that's why I can't read for shit. Neither the left nor the right, while it rejoiced Marxist-based struggle, blah 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 blah, it supported socialism, and Nazism is short for National Socialism. Blah blah blah. During the McCarthy era, the left, and not only the left, screamed when people were falsely charged with supporting Stalin or communism, which is one of the greatest evils in human history. But the left also screamed when people who really did aid and abet Stalin were dismissed from their jobs. In other words, for those who on the left celebrated his ouster, it was the evil deprive of a man who supported Stalin of a job. But it is right to fire a man who supports the man-woman definition of marriage, such as the left's moral compass. It is important to further notice that gay employees at Firefox acknowledge that never discriminated against gays, whether in employment, benefits, or any other way. But that doesn't matter to the left because a total streak is part of the left's DNA. Now, he does go on, it is a huge post, and I'm not going to read it all out to you, but basically this man is saying that this CEO fella should get his job back. I actually agree with that. I hold my hands up and I say, as a gay man, he should have his job back. The reason that I say that is because he was persecuted by the left, or whatever you want to class it as, the gay mafia, as some people are referring to it, forced him out of the job because of what he spent his personal money on and because of his personal beliefs. Now, this man is not the only one to have donated to Prop 8 in California, and I'm quite sure that everyone in California can agree with me on that. So why is it right that we just persecute him and not all of these other thousands of people that donated money and time to that cause? I mean, obviously the end result is California now has same-sex marriage and will do for the foreseeable future. So why are we going after just this one man? You know, why is it that he isn't allowed to work? We're doing whatever job it is. Why is that? Why is that deemed as acceptable? You know, if we're going to call a boycott on Firefox, let Firefox have done something wrong. Firefox didn't do anything wrong. They saw a man who was right for the job and they gave him the job, and that's all. Gay employees have even, I mean, okay, yeah, it was said in some gay media that 3 of them stood down or something bullshit like that. But if the people who have worked there said that he didn't discriminate against people, what is the problem? I mean, as I said in the video the other night, you know, I have me out of work and my own personal beliefs and me doing these ranty videos and everything like that. In work, completely different. Just completely different. You know, I don't bring my personal beliefs and everything like that. I don't bring that into a workplace because I'm there to work. And I'm quite sure that he was the same. He might not have liked same-sex marriage, but he wasn't going to discriminate against people in the workplace because of his own beliefs. Why shouldn't he be allowed to work? You know, I had such an ordeal with that, and it turns out that some other people did as well. Now, although I have already done a video about this, if you do want to comment on about it, then please feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube page, and I will do my best to bring it up for discussion at some point if you just want to add a comment in at any point. If you add a comment on, I should probably say this from the first video, but if you want to add a comment on and it's not like it's no longer live, I will still be able to see the comment and obviously can reply and everything like that. It is just better and easier if you do it when we're live. Hi to all of the people who are watching, by the way. I forgot to say hello to everyone. Right, okay, let's go through the news then. There's been something really interesting in the news the past couple of days, and it's sort of still making its way through the media. And this is to do with the video that's on YouTube, which is called Fuck the Homeless. I will just call it that because I don't have to censor myself. Basically, the idea behind the video is that a man goes out wearing a board which just says "fuck the homeless." No, it's not "fuck the homeless." It's "fuck the poor." And not at first, but eventually, people start coming over to him and they're like, "Why do you think that? Why are you saying that?" And all this kind of stuff. And he hands out leaflets. Now, to this day, I still don't know what was actually printed on them leaflets. But you see him doing this and people's reaction to it and everything like that. Like, even a policeman talks to him at some point. Anyway, so yeah, so he wears that, and then like in the next scene of the video, he's wearing another set of boards, and he's collecting for the homeless, and he gets completely ignored. And it's just it's really powerful message. But I guess that is just kind of society's mental setup with these kind of things, right? I mean, we are used to kind of seeing homeless people. As much as we say we don't like seeing them, we are used to seeing them these days. More so with the Financial Times recently, the way that everyone's been with money. You know, there is a homeless problem right the way throughout the West. You know, okay, some places are worse than others, but there's a town near me. I've had to do it now 3 times. Because I will go out to this town and go on a night out, have a couple of drinks, whatever, and it comes to the end of the night. The first time I ever did this was, when was it now? It was coming up to winter. It was a really, really cold night, and we're stood there like with our pizzas outside the train station waiting for taxis and everything like that, you know, dithering away like you do. And I saw this man kind of getting himself set up for sleeping in a doorway for the night. This wasn't away from people. This is like the only space that this man could go to. And yeah, there was police in the area. Okay, not loads of police in the area, but there were police in the area. And none of them were really paying any attention to him, so I called the police. And eventually, I mean, this is the first time it happened, but I was getting into the taxi when police officers actually got to the man. So, like, what, 20 minutes later or something like that. Now, following that inquiry up, I did find that the man got put into, like, one of these homeless shelters for the night or something like that. Not too sure on how he's doing since, but it's just a thing of, you know, not standing there and doing nothing. You know, not just sitting there and going, that man's out on the streets tonight. Oh, shall I go and give him, like, you know, spare change from whatever's left over at the bar? No, because what's money going to do? You know, that's not going to stop him from sleeping rough for that night. What we actually need to do is I mean, there are charity organisations out there that do take the homeless off the streets and the poor and everything like that. But we need to actually be proactive in this, not just sitting back and waiting for someone else to do something about it, but actually doing it ourselves. Now, there was this kind of idea for a video has been done before. It was on a television program. When was it now? about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. And they did kind of an experiment one night. No, actually, it was during the day, and they had a man sat out in full suit, looking like he's a businessman ready for work, sat on the side of a pavement begging for money. And now loads of people were coming over, and they were saying, "Oh, that's really, really bad. Are you okay? How are you coping? All that kind of stuff." And yeah, okay, people made a fuss of him and everything like that. But the main thing of it all is that they bothered about him because of his appearance. Excuse me. Now the same man on the next day went out and he was dressed as a tramp, and the people literally walked past him and didn't want anything to do with him. And it's like, well, you're judging people based on the way that they look. If they look a little bit scruffy and anything like that, it doesn't matter, because these people are still homeless. It is still a problem. Pardon me, but you dress a man in a suit and people actually give a shit. It's completely messed up, and I think society needs a little bit of a rethink as to where our priorities lie. I mean, if I'd have seen that man during the day getting all huddled up in the little doorway and everything like that, would I have taken, even if I'm on my way to work and I've got 2 minutes to spare, the actual call to the police took me about 2-3 minutes, if that. And, that night was that cold that man could have literally, okay, maybe not, this would be a bit extreme, but he could have literally froze to death. He could have got, what does it get when you're really cold for ages? Hypothermia. He could have got hypothermia, he could have set in by the time that the morning came round. By the time it started getting warm again. Just putting that out there. So yeah, so we do really need a good think about kind of where society's priorities lie. But it's a really good video. If you can see it, then please do watch the video. It is just absolutely amazing to watch, and obviously it's sending out a really good point, so share that video as well. In the news also this week, and making quite big headlines literally around the world, is this Pistorius, whatever his name is, but the court case. It is a really interesting case, because there's been kind of a lead up in the press about this for quite some time now. There's been news stories every other week about him and his past, or something that he's said and done, that kind of thing. And now it's coming to the court case. A lot of people are already influenced by what has been already written by him. They're not giving him a fair kind of judgment, even though it is in court at the moment. Is the rule not there at the moment that he's innocent until proven guilty? I mean, yeah, okay, he's kind of already admitted that, yeah, he did it. But was it a genuine accident? Was it on purpose? What had fully happened that night? This is why we have the jury of his peers, and why it is going through the court system at the moment, to try and find out the truth, try and find out what has happened. Just because a journalist sat in their office with nothing better to do, going through what they can of his personal life by literally any means, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the truth. Because as we all well know, not everything that you see in the news or hear in the news is the truth. There you go. Now, if it is proven in the end to be true, and this is like a severe case of domestic violence, then I think that this case should kind of send a message out that domestic violence isn't okay. Not many people know that within the past 2 years, I have not come face to face with domestic violence, but I've had it affect someone that I know. And kind of being able to see it that way does give you a really different perspective as to what domestic violence actually is. I think the definition for most of us when it comes to domestic violence is that, it's throwing crockery around, punching someone, kicking them, pushing them over, that kind of thing. A lot of what domestic violence actually is also mental stuff. Like, these people that commit domestic violence will play with your head until you think the way that they do. And they are and I don't mean this as a compliment, but they are very clever people because they are able to literally wrap you around their finger. Obviously, a lot of cases of domestic violence is where people are in love, because love, for some reason, kind of puts like a lubricant over another person. They can't do anything wrong. You've got them rose tinted glasses on. Like that person to you is perfection, and you kind of do put up with that kind of shit when they do domestic violence. But the truth of it all is that there is a lot of mental stuff, not only during the domestic violence, but after it as well. You know, the person who had the case, who lives, well, not lives near me, but I'm close to. The case went off to court, and then there was an appeal, and eventually that person got found guilty of domestic violence. Now, that's all kind of dealt with now. That's like, okay, put it in a box, move it to one side. But with domestic violence, there is a long-lasting mental effect, because it is mental abuse as well as physical. Because, you know, think of it as this: if you've just come out of a violent relationship, and you know you've been in it for a while, and you know the person properly played with your head and everything like that, are you going to be able to trust the person the same way again? And I'm not just on about in the like immediate aftermath. I'm like years down the line here. You know, you're never quite going to be able to fully trust that person again, or any person again, when it comes to, you know, in a relationship sense, if that's the way we're talking about it for now, like we are. It just seems to me that a lot of people, when it comes to the Pistorius case, are saying it is domestic violence and he was violent with exes and all this kind of stuff. We still don't know what has actually happened. So how's about, and I always end up saying this anyway, but how's about we actually just sit back and let the court do their investigations, and we base it, our decisions or our kind of judgments on what they actually have to say, on what they find out and all that kind of stuff, instead of just jumping to the conclusions because we've seen something in the news, and it's just horrendous. So, I mean, it is an interesting case, and like I said, if it is a domestic violence case, this is obviously, you know, out in the news. It's got a lot of press coverage. A lot of people are watching to see what happens with this and everything like that, and it is really interesting, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I think if it is a domestic violence case, then that there needs to be kind of God, what would you call it? An example set of him, just to put the message out there again that, you know what, domestic violence isn't acceptable. And as long as we get that message out, I'm fine with that. Okay, what else has been in the news? The murderer of Lee Rigby is appealing a life sentence. Isn't that great? For those of you who don't know who Lee Rigby is, you might remember an incident last year when a UK soldier in it wasn't Essex, was it? It's London anyway. But he was basically decapitated in broad daylight in a street in front of everyone who was walking past. Yeah, that incident. Well, long story short is they obviously found the killers, they brought them into jail and everything like that, and the judgment gave them a whole life sentence, which is a really good thing. You know, if that means that that person never sees the light of day again with freedom, I'm quite fine with that. I do, while we're talking about this case, I do understand the reason behind it. I understand what the men were saying on the day, and I do agree with what they were saying. The way that they've gone about putting their message out there, I completely disagree with. That shouldn't have happened. But they did have a very valid point, and to be fair, we've actually not listened to the point at all. If you're sat there and you, well, what the fuck was that message on that day? The message was that basically what they've done to that soldier is unacceptable, but that is what is happening to people in the places like Iraq, and has been happening for years, and that basically soldiers are not needed over there. The country will be fine, but take them home. They don't want the soldiers there. It wasn't a terrorist threat or anything like that. It was a simple thing of saying, you are doing this to our people, we're going to do it to you. I do understand the message behind it. I don't agree with the way that they did it. I don't agree with them carrying out the killing or anything like that, and I do support them having a whole life sentence. But there was a message behind it, and we really do need to pay attention to that message. Just putting that out there. Now, a whole life sentence is really rare to get passed in the United Kingdom, because there seems to be this kind of mentality in society when it comes to judges, in that they can give you what is called a life sentence, but you will only serve like 15, 20 years, and then you're back out on the streets again. Well, that to me is not a life sentence. A life sentence is for as long as your body has life, you will stay in that fucking cell with half an hour for a ciggy break a day, and that's it. You know, that's what it is. So to actually see a whole life sentence passed, I'm made up. We need more of them. Let's get these scumbags off the street. Whether his appeal will do any good, I personally doubt very much, because not only can the judges and the police, not only do they know what happened, but kind of a lot of people in the United Kingdom are behind the whole life sentence in going, yeah, that's the right sentence, that keep them off the street. I don't really see the point in him appealing, because to me, it's two men that were there on the day, wasn't it? So if them two men were out on the streets again with no security around them or anything like that, their lives are in danger. And that's in no uncertain terms. Whether it's ex-soldiers, currently serving soldiers, whatever it is, there are people who will torture them. And that's not me making a threat, that's just the way that it is. People would quite like to get a hold of them. So I don't think that this appeal is going to do any good. I don't think it'll get passed or anything like that. So let's just see what happens with that one. I'm just going to have a drink first. Bear with. That's actually what I was going to say. I was going to say bear with, and then partway through interrupted myself to have a drink. What a joy. There's something really interesting that, pardon me, that I picked up on in the news today, because I was having a little look through, and I thought, okay, I'll have a little look through in the news, see what got said, who's done what, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was really weird to see that the G8, who you probably will have heard of before, because we have G8 meetings all throughout the world, is now known as the G7. Russia has fully been taken out of the G8, so it is now the G7, and that was really, really interesting. But I don't remember there being an actual news story about the kind of change happening. I remember it was one of the sanctions or something that got put on Russia, but I must have slept through that 2-minute period. Basically, the only reason that I found that out was because as I was looking through the news, it's kind of breaking news today that the UK economy growth, the forecast for it, is expected to lead the G7 in 2014. We're supposed to have the strongest growing economy in 2014 in the G7. Now, if I'm not mistaken, isn't America part of the G7, formerly G8? Pardon me. Because, hold the fuck up here, America's growth statistics, or forecasts, should I say, compared to Britain's growth forecast, America's actually going to do better than the UK. But the UK is apparently going to lead in 2014, whatever. But, I mean, what does it actually mean when they say that, the UK is going to lead the growth of 2014, speaking in the economy? What that basically means to us is that we should see a lot more actual jobs created. Not the government turning around and saying, well, we've created X amount of jobs. We should actually see real jobs being created. Like, you can actually go and apply for this shit. It's not fake. But whether or not we actually see the growth or the level of growth that is predicted, which I actually don't have that statistic here, but whether we actually see that level of growth is questionable, because I think off for the past couple of years. But in layman's terms, it basically means that you might well see the cost of living come down a little bit. Not necessarily loads, but you might see a little bit more for your penny. Like, the petrol prices in the United Kingdom have remained at a low for the past, I can't remember how many weeks it is now. I think it's coming up to 2 months or something like that. And that already is having an impact, which, by the way, I'm just totally calling that out. That is my idea. My idea. I said to the government via Facebook, I may have tagged them in a post on Facebook, or I may have forgot, I don't know. But I said, if we reduce the amount of tax that there is on petrol in the United Kingdom, the cost of living would come down. And price of petrol came down and has stayed down, and the cost of living is slowly starting to come down as well. So the cost of living might well come down. If the cost of living comes down, then you might well see a reduction in how much you are having to pay for things like electric and gas. And I know that certain parts of the United Kingdom are getting cuts in the price of water that they have to pay. So, yay that. But if we are going to be the leader, it should be that we actually do quite well for ourselves this year. And it's not going to say that things are going back to like 2004, when everyone had a job and there was loads of money floating around and everything like that. It's not going to get anywhere near to like that this year, even at this level of growth. It's not going to get back to like that, not anytime soon. We are still a number of years away from that happening. Now, the interesting thing with that is that this level of growth which is being predicted is obviously encouraging, and it shows that something is starting to change in the economy. Money is getting passed back to the people, and it's starting to filter through, and it's building up again. But this should make the government rethink about what they are currently doing, because predictively, I don't know what the word is, but in the future, just go for the simple term here, Bev. In the future, there are going to be more budget cuts and things like that, which are due to come into us. More taxes going higher and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, hang on, let's just ride this one out. Don't put the taxes up. If anything, bring them down. But don't put the taxes up. Don't do any more budget cuts. Leave it as it is, and let's just see where the economy gets itself. And yeah, let's just see what happens with that. Because I think if our economy is going to pick itself up, if the government that's in at the moment has done the right things, and our economy is now starting to do a little bit better for itself because of that, leave it. If it's starting to work, let it build itself up. But by putting more budget cuts in and raising more taxes and everything like that, that's not going to work. So there you go. I'll tell you what was really interesting to see. This is slightly on topic. There was a thing the other day we announced 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and this budget was announced, and there was certain reductions, something like that, and it just kind of made me laugh, because I sat there and I was like, hang on, if you do the maths, are they not just fiddling the figures a little bit? Like, oh, we'll take 1% off the bingo tax, and we will increase that one by 1%. You know what I mean? Like, is change actually happening here? Oh, which, by the way, while we're speaking of the budget and things like that, I should probably mention about there's a supermarket chain that we have over here in the United Kingdom, which is called Asda, and yes, it is owned by Walmart. So those of you who are in America, Walmart's like, have announced that they are going to create now, was it 12,000 jobs or something within the next couple of years. Now, Pat thought this is really, really good. You know, it's encouraging to see 12,000 new jobs, absolutely perfect. That's just what the economy needs, blah, blah, blah. But as to announce this after there was the production, amount, not going to lie. So it's kind of, to me, almost like, and I'm not saying that this is what has happened, but it's almost like someone in the government has turned around and said, okay, we will cut the corporation tax and we will put this amount of money into your pocket if you hire people with that money. So it's kind of safeguarding that they're still going to have the same amount of profit left over, but they can be the ones to grasp, to throw the hands up and say, we're creating new jobs and everything like that. But it's like, hang on, you're still safeguarding your profits. Take a bit of a profit drop and hire more people with that. Then I might be impressed. Just, again, putting that out there. Which also, I mean, it is quite questionable as to whether Asda is actually going to be paying for these 12,000 staff, because they have, over the past couple of months, been taking in staff that are unpaid. In fact, Asda, as well as other retailers, have been getting paid to take on these unpaid members of staff. And it's called work experience. It's actually stopped Asda from having real jobs for real people, because why pay for staff when you can get the fuckers for free? There you go. So there we go. That's kind of my mini ranty thing about the economy and everything like that. And I've actually cleared off the news story, so I can't see how I got onto doing that rant. But that was a really good one. I enjoyed that. Thank you for listening. What's been in the news recently? Like I said, this has been one of them weeks where it's just been literally non-stop in mud. Let me have a little look here. Right. Yeah, so also in the news, there's been a thing about Ukraine banks which have been taken off them by Russia. Now, as far as I can learn on this story, they've taken one good building back, and they are trying for others. This is where it's going to get interesting. Because if they are successful in taking back their own government buildings, they could well force Russia out. And ideally, that would be how it went. But, as we all know, Russia likes a fucking good fight. So, my main question when I was reading this story is this going to be the start of the war? Like I've said before, I don't think I feel any more sanctions on Russia are not having any impact at all. I just don't know where to stand on this. You know, Ukraine has kind of really been a pushover with with basically letting Crimea go. You know, they should have stood their ground a little bit stronger. You know, you can take what I want from us, and all that kind of stuff. So if they're now making a push back into Crimea and they are taking the government buildings back, maybe out of the war. I know it's probably, again, not going to be the start of the war, but it's always questionable when you see news stories like this happen, because Russia is literally sat on quite a big arsenal of weapons and nuclear weapons and everything like that. Be it that the Russian economy might well be on its arse and literally about to drop out the sky at any time, the main point of it all is that they could really fuck us all over, and we need to be careful. That said, I don't agree with Russia having taken over Crimea. I don't agree with the way that they did the vote. and I think Crimea should remain part of the Ukraine until it is done with a fair vote and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, it's been quite interesting just recently talking about this with people on social media, because obviously we've learned quite a bit more now about, that the who's said what and who's done this and who's done that, and I think why are we sat there on social media going, well, he said this, and was it John McCain went over to the Ukraine or something, and he spoke to these thousands of people and everything like that, and he, as one person said to me the other day, he is basically behind this whole thing actually starting. And I'm like, no, he's not. Russia pushed into Crimea and overtook it. That's what happened. If anyone's at fault here, it is Russia. There was a news story that I was reading a couple of days ago about how Russia was planning to overtake some other country and bring it back to being part of Russia and all that kind of thing. I don't know if that's true. I really don't know if that's... I'm not person on this, but Russia managed to get quite easily, because they literally put their troops in there, and the Crimean army and the navy and everyone, they just left. And they took over the government buildings and everything like that, and it's, for all intents and purposes, now back to being a part of Russia. They got that too easily. So who's to say that Russia isn't thinking, oh, well, okay, well, we got that one so easily, let's go after this one. You see where I'm coming with this? That they could literally just think, okay, it is easy enough for us to get that. It's easy enough for us to get what we want. We got Crimea back as a part of Russia. It is a really interesting topic to be obviously talking about and thinking about as well, but I just don't know where I stand on that. But it is possible. So there we go. Okay, also in the news, another man has been arrested under Operation U-Tree. Oh God, genuinely yawn. Oh, pardon me. Basically, yeah, Operation U-Tree, for those of you that don't know what that is, it's an operation by Metropolitan Police in the United Kingdom. Not Metro, is it Metropolitan Police? Scotland Yard, isn't it? I think it's Scotland Yard that are behind Operation U-Tree. Anyway, what was years and years and years ago, there was a TV presenter who used to do like kids TV. He did a program called Top of the Pops, which is obviously bands and the latest music and where they are in the charts and all that kind of stuff. And he was always a good entertainer and everything like that. Like, he's really famous for a show called Jim'll Fix It, where basically kids wrote in and they said, it is my dream to do blah, 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 and he would make that dream a reality. So, obviously, he is around kids a lot, and it's only been since his death that people have been able to speak up about what he's actually done to them. The last time I checked, which obviously it has been quite a bit of a while now, it was confirmed at 250 cases of child molestation against Jimmy Savile. Now, obviously, he's dead. These people gain nothing from coming forward about these allegations, but they do eventually get people to realise the sort of man that Jimmy Savile was. So this has then kind of opened it up a little bit, because accusations kind of surfaced then about other famous people with historic claims going through. So the police have then looked into these other people, and then more accusations came up, and more and more and more. I think at the moment it's something like 17 different male celebrities have been brought in under Operation U-Tree. It is really interesting to see what happens with this, because the past couple of cases that have been brought through the courts and everything like that, and these men have been found innocent. There's a really famous one from Coronation Street, which is obviously a programme seen throughout the world. Michael Lavelle, who plays Kevin Webster, the car mechanic in Coronation Street, he got found completely innocent on all charges. The girl had, well, I think with his case, it was the girl and the mother had basically made up this bullshit story, and it got found out to be bullshit. Now, a lot of people obviously are questioning, well, how do you know that's a bullshit story? How can anyone know? Because this is a prehistoric claim. This is from years ago. Scientifically speaking, there is still ways to test if a person has been raped from however long ago. I'm not too sure of the ins and outs of it because I'm not one of these medical people that can actually do the tests, so I'm not too sure exactly what goes on, like where the cotton buds go, but they go somewhere, and they can still test if that actually happened. And if there is a lack of evidence in that sense, and the stories keep getting changed, like they did keep getting changed with the Michael Lavelle case, it just all amounts to complete and utter bullshit. But today, another man has been brought in. Now, the only thing that we know at the moment is that this man is 73 years old. I'm just going to check while I'm actually live on and just see if there is any more details that have been released. Because, like I said, this was this afternoon that I was checking out this was still a big breaking story at that time. Let's have a little look. Right, there's nothing on there. But I know where I posted it as well. I think. Where are we now? It's under that one. There we are. Man arrested under Operation U-Tree. So I'll just read to you what it says on the website at the moment. So if it's we will find out together. Scotland Yard said the man, 73, was arrested in London on Tuesday. A 73-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of sexual offences as part of a police operation prompted by the Jimmy Savile abuse scandal. Scotland Yard has said that the man was arrested in North London earlier. Operation U-Tree is the investigation into abuse by Savile and others. And police said allegations against the man held were not linked to the late DJ. Savile died in 2011, and a police report later called him a predatory offender who abused more than 200 people. The latest arrest takes the total number of arrested under Operation U-Tree to 17, and so far 7 of those have been told that they will face no further action. Another 5 remain on police bail, including former pop star Gary Glitter, comedian Freddie Starr, and veteran broadcaster Paul. Him. You know the one, totally. All men deny any wrongdoing, which as you would. The whole thing of it all, though, is that, you know, this is becoming a sort of bit of a witch hunt, because it's like, I don't even know how, but, you know, people are coming forward with information about this, but it's against certain celebrities from years ago. And I think that kind of the message hasn't really got through that these people can scientifically test for prehistoric cases of rape, and you have to get your story right straight away. Because if you don't, it flops over in court. And if it genuinely happened and it flops in court, that's your chance gone. Simple as. You know, that there is a lot of accusations that are flying around at the moment. And eventually, yes, it will go through court case by court case, and obviously those that are found guilty will be dealt with. Those that are found innocent will still have a bit of a mark on their record because they got called in under this operation. Rolf Harris, for example, was brought in under this. Rolf fucking Harris, of all men. I'm sorry, I will put my voice out there straight away and say I don't think Rolf Harris has done anything. I think he's completely 100% innocent. I really do. The reason that I think that he's so innocent is because, you know, personally, when I looked at Jimmy Savile, and I was a bit like, oh, he's one of them creepy old granddads that you don't want to sit next to at Sunday dinner. Rolf Harris just seems like just a really nice guy. You know, he's got his hobbies that he does, like the painting and playing the... Oh, God, what's the name of it? I think it's a bit of cardboard, wasn't it, or paper thing, the Whopper Whopper thing, but playing that anyway. And you know, he's into his own little things. I don't think he's into kids. I'll be completely honest with you, or ever has been. So there you go. But of course, that brings about the main question: that is it actually time to end Operation Yewtree? Someone was calling for this not too long ago, and I can't remember who it was, but they were in the news and they said it's time we ended this witch hunt. And I do genuinely think it is time that we sort of brought this to an end, because Operation Yewtree is sort of getting to be a bit of a witch hunt now. You know, we all kind of associate Operation Yewtree with Jimmy Savile. Well, let's look through all of them cases, the accusations that were made against him, and let's see if any of them are true. You know, even though there's over 200 that have been confirmed, but enough is enough. You know, we do have a little bit of a culture, and obviously it is some very, very sick individuals that are making up some stories. But I just think it's time to end it. You know, and let the message get out there in the public. You know what? If someone has done this to you, speak up about it. But Operation Yewtree for me just has to end, and sometime soon, hopefully, but it won't be. Anyway, last story, because oh my god, we're really coming up to an hour near enough. Well done, me. I only managed like 50 minutes last week or something like that. I was quite disappointed when I got off it, but whatever. I've plenty of news stories and plenty of things for me to ramble on about, and you guys know that I love a good ramble, right? A 9-month-old baby has been charged in India. I really don't know how I can continue with telling you about that. I think it's absolutely hilarious. A 9-month-old baby. Yeah. From what I can gather on this news story, because I've read it on a few different websites, and every website tells a different story about it. But from what I can gather, it's something like when the police or some government workers have been in the area investigating a gas supply or something like that. He's thrown rocks at them or something like that, and obviously now he's facing the criminal charges. And this is a genuinely serious thing, right? I think it's hilarious because it falls under the, and this is something which I think I might look into this a little bit later on, but it falls under the minimum age for crime, which is 12 in India. I didn't even know that. What I mean by the minimum age is obviously, yes, you're going to get criminals that act under the age of 12, but for you to be held accountable to your own actions, you have to be 12 or over. I don't quite know what they would do with kids under the age of 12 that committed crimes, but I presume it's not going to be too long before we find out. Look, this is just really stupid. It's a really, really stupid case, and I don't even want to go too much into the detail because I just think it's absolutely hilarious. But it's also really, really sad at the same time because, you know, if you look at the videos of this baby that's having the allegations made against him, it's just an adorable baby. You know, you look at them babies and you're like, oh, that baby is so cute. Well, it's one of them. And, you know, you can't help but sit there and look and go, oh my god, what future have you got? Like, let's have a look back of my life. Well, at 9 months old, I was accused of criminal actions. It's pathetic. It really genuinely is. Hilarious, but serious and just sorted out India, really. And that is it. That's all of the news stories that I have put in for this broadcast, for JustANatter number 3. So yay, you made it through the third one with me. Thank you so much for joining me. There is one more thing which I am going to point out here because I think it's absolutely hilarious. There was a video that is kind of doing the rounds at the moment. It was featured in a couple of English papers yesterday, where a woman in a part of Romania, I think it was, an old woman is walking home, I presume walking home. She's very small, and she got picked up by a thug and swung round while basically screaming. And then she tries to walk off, and then they pick her up again and swing her around and everything like that. Now, on a serious note, that is assault, and that is like completely disrespectful. You know, older people, wherever that they are in the world, they have done a lot for us. You know, look at the world wars and that kind of thing. You know, okay, now maybe she wasn't personally out fighting in the world wars, but you know, she'd have had to have made sure that um, the country that she was in was kept running, sort of thing. Um, and yeah, um, that's kind of like the serious side of it. That we obviously we do need to find the people that are behind it and bring them to justice and everything like that. But there is also a fucking hilarious side to it because it's a little old woman getting flung round. And to make things even worse, do you know what Facebook actually did? Can I tell you what Facebook actually did? Facebook. I read the news article and I think I shared it, and then underneath, Facebook's been doing this thing where, like, underneath it'll come up with this little kind of pop-up thing, and it'll say like news stories similar to or things like that, and one of them was a link to the same story but in a different newspaper. In the middle, it was sending me a link to watch Spinning Around by Kylie Minogue. Yeah, that's what Facebook was doing. I had to sit there, and I'm like, hang on, I should be doing a massive rant on Facebook and just being like, do you know what, respect your fucking elders and blah, blah, blah. I can't do that while Facebook's going, you want to watch Spinning Round while you're watching that. That is just the cruelest thing and the most hilarious thing you could ever think of doing. But yeah, it's really serious at the same time. So behave with that, people. But yes, anyway, that is it. So thank you very much for joining me for JustANatter hashtag number 3. No, hashtag JustANatter number 3. I will see you guys next Tuesday for hashtag JustANatter number 4. Don't forget to subscribe to me on YouTube if you would like to be kept up to date with when the live broadcasts are going on, and obviously all of the other videos. And just before I do go, I recorded a video earlier on today, which I should hopefully be coming up within the next couple of days, but it would have been coming up on Thursday anyway, but it has been flagged by YouTube for containing content by this, what I found out to be a finance firm in the south of England. They've claimed copyright on one of my videos. A fucking finance firm. It's like, yeah, you don't own any content. Not that I've used. So anyway, so it's a video, it's about Tom Daly, and it will be coming up as soon as I can get it to you. Obviously, I'm not going to let it go, or let it be released, should I say, while there is still this dispute ongoing about it. So yeah, so anyway, I shall see you all next Tuesday for hashtag JustANatter number 4. Thank you very much for watching number 3, and I'll see you guys later. Good day.